to episode 3 of my Python crash course. Today I'm going to be talking about conditions, what they are, how we use them, and why they're going to be used in our code. Or in our game rather. In the last episode I talked about variables, such as these strings here, which are just groups of characters that you can type on the keyboard, and arrays, which are they could be groups of strings. In this case we have groups of strings. But honestly, they could be anything. It could be a group of ints, which is just whole numbers like 10 or 212, and it could also be decimal places like 3.14, and those are called floats. We're not actually going to be using those much in our game, so I didn't cover it, but I may do an extra information video once I'm done the series, and I'll cover ints and floats and all the other stuff. But something else I'd like to do is I want to make a character detection system, which sounds extremely boring, and I do agree. It's not used much, but I do promise this has a reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type a character, and I'm going to be making this character detection system to show off conditions. Now, conditions are a yes or no statement. Instead of printing this, I'm going to show what a yes or no statement is. So a yes or no statement is a question I ask. For example, I can see if x equals a. I'm going to ignore the suggestion. And you've seen what I've just typed here. We have if, again, it's turning blue, so Repl.it recognizes, yes, this is a function. And then open and close brackets, and I said x equals a. So we're asking, are these two the same thing? And you notice I put two equal signs here. And you're probably wondering, why is that? Well, this one equal sign right here, it's assigning something. It's saying this is going to be set to this. With two equal signs, it's going to tell us yes, they're the same thing, or no, they're not. So, and then I write a colon, and then hit enter, and you notice it's already indented, but even if it wasn't, it needs to be indented one more time. Just hit the tab key, and actually print vowel is fine, because we just want to show something off. So I'll run this, type a character. If I type A, we have vowel. If I run this again, and I type B, accidentally inputted plus. If I type slash, nothing happens. So again, this is checking if x is equal to a, if they're the same thing, and if they are, print vowel. What I'd like to do is I want to see if x is in any one of these. If is in either vowels or consonants. So like any character at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new array, and I'll call it letters. And we're going to set it to actually vowels plus consonants. So what we're doing is we're taking, giving a new variable letters, and we're adding these two arrays together to make just one big array that goes A, E, I, O, U, B, C, D, E, B, C, D, F, etc. And so instead of just checking if x equals a, I'm actually going to remove the brackets as well. And we're going to search through letters, and we're going to see if we can find x in it. And this is kind of a precursor to loops, but it's a smaller thing, so I decided just to include it. So we have if x in letters, print, this is a letter. So that's pretty much the basics of a character detection system. I know, very complex. And actually, that's a spoiler, so I'm going to click off of that. But if I type in any letter, let's say Y, this is a letter. But if I run again and hit the percentage sign, nothing happens. So I'd actually like something to happen when not a letter is put in here. When this yes or no question returns no. And the way we do that is with an else. And again, it's turned blue. We're going to put a colon because we want something to happen when this happens. And Thank you, Repl.it, for filling in what I actually need. This is not a letter. Ta-da! Yes, this is the entirety of our character detection system. What we're doing is, again, we're creating a new letters array, which is just a group of the vowels and consonants, A, E, I, O, U, and then after U is B. No, these aren't sorted again, they're just put right after each other. And we're setting it to vowels and plus consonants. And then we have X over here. We have X to whatever character we input. And we're going to check if X is in letters, so basically we typed in a letter, and if we did, it's going to print this is a letter, and if it's not inside of our letters array, it's going to print this is not a letter. So again, I'm going to run this with any letter F. And you actually notice that I made an error, which actually leads very well into what I want to say. This only works if we type in one character. So let's say I type in HH. It's going to say no because all it's looking for is H. We have H, but we don't have HH. I'm going to switch that back, but our code only works with one character. So if I write R, hit enter. But if I write 6, this is not a letter. And that's most of it. Yep, so this is our yes or no question called a condition. And we have if and else. There's also else if, which I've decided not to include because our game won't be using it. But the way it works is it checks the one above. If the one above says no, so if this says returns no, and then down here I put in else if, which is called elif, and it's going to check something else. And if that one returns true, it's going to do that. So you can chain if statements together. But that one doesn't work for a game because our game, if you guys remember, we have to input a word if it's in a group of letters or from a group of letters. Our game needs to check a bunch of different conditions. And the way you notice that, well, in this case, there's no overlap. But if I have a bunch of if-elses, if and else, elif and elses, or only one else. But if I have a chained, I'll call it a chained condition. If one of them is true, none of the other ones are executed. It doesn't even ask. It just says, all right, this is true. I can just ignore all of the other elifs and the else. And that's it. That was actually the end of conditions. Our game is going to be using that, again, like I said, to check, like, oh, is this word made out of these letters, or is he just slamming his head on the keyboard? We need to check that. We'd like to check, oh, is it in a dictionary, which I'm going to be talking about in a later episode. But there is one more thing I want to say. You notice that all of these are all lowercase letters. Even the blue ones, the conditions. And programming works mostly on lowercase letters, sometimes capitalization, but that's only for formalities, to make code look clear. So I could make this name capital X, but you notice X doesn't exist. It's looking for lowercase x, but we don't have lowercase x, we have uppercase X. And this is the exact same for all of our functions. So the def, for example, it has to be, I can't capitalize the D. No, it says, what am I looking at? And same thing for all of the ones in blue and all of the ones in yellow. These all have to be lowercase. However, the function, because again, this is a function or a method. I call it both, but I'll call it a method, I guess. This method only can be called by typing input in all lowercase letters, open close brackets, and then a string inside surrounded by parentheses, by quotation marks. And I believe that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back with episode 4, which is going to be loops where our code gets continuously more interesting. Have a good day, and bye-bye. I'll see you in the next one.